Donald Trump reacted to the shooting as well on the campaign trail. This shooting by a white female police officer. He reacted in Ohio earlier today. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Well, that was, in my opinion, that was a terrible situation. And we've seen others. And the police are aware of that too. By the way, the police are troubled by it too. They look at it. Now, did she get scared? Was she choking? What happened? But maybe people like that, people that choke, people that do that, maybe they can't be doing what they're doing, okay? They can't be doing what they're doing.
I think Mr. Trump made a comment today and really only said, did the policeman choke? And I guess because he didn't just, in an aggressive way, defend the police, people are acting like that's a major statement. To say somebody choked, she shot somebody.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so sorry it's been a while since I made a video. I've been so busy in the garden. The garden is taking a lot of my time. It's taking 5, 6, 8 hours a day, sometimes more. And I didn't kind of schedule that when I started a garden. I didn't even think about it taking that much time, so I apologize. But we're coming down to the last couple days of summer and the last couple weeks of the garden. So I'm trying to focus. I'm trying to like prioritize the garden, make sure that it finishes up the way it needs to, and that everything looks good and is in place for it to have a nice finish. I'm doing my best on the garden, trying to get some videos posted every day, you know, pull out what I can find that looks like it's worthy of your time. So I hope that you understand. As soon as I get everything harvested and you know, moving on from the garden, then I will be going back to posting as much as I can every day. This, again, worthy of your time. And my plan is to start reposting the 50,000 videos that YouTube has deleted off the YouTube. 50,000 Mox News videos that YouTube has deleted. So quite a project ahead. But like I said, I haven't made a video, but I couldn't let Al Sharpton get away with what he's doing here, because what he's doing is he's saying that Donald Trump, talking about the Tulsa shooting in which a female police officer shot a unarmed black man with his hands raised. Al Sharpton is saying the only thing that Donald Trump said was that she choked. And he says, she didn't just choke, someone died. Well, and Donald Trump didn't just say she choked. What Donald Trump said is really, really important. And this is why I can't let it stand, you know, with him sitting here and acting like, you know, and I don't like that Donald Trump is possibly going to be the next president of the United States. I'm not a big Donald Trump supporter. I'm not a Donald Trump supporter at all, except for, you know, every time one of these Project for a New American Century guys comes out and says, I'm voting for Hillary, you know, that's like all you need to know is that Hillary is a neocon, and all the neocons are rallying behind her. And that's some scary shit. Because she's been their wicked witch of the West forever, or the East, or whatever, or the South. Forever. But I digress. Al Sharpton said that Donald Trump only said that the police officer choked. And that's not what Donald Trump said. What Donald Trump said is that if you're in that situation and you can't handle the pressure and you choke, the first thing you do is you go for your gun. Because you can't put aside your fear for 2 seconds in order to keep from shooting a 12-year-old playing in the park. Maybe you shouldn't be a cop. Donald Trump clearly said that. It's incredibly important that we have this discussion, because this is what's wrong, is that there's a bunch of people that are cops that shouldn't be cops. And nobody's firing them, and they're not going to trial for murdering unarmed people with their hands raised, and they shouldn't be cops in the first place. And that's what Donald Trump is saying. Donald Trump is saying, you know, if you can't handle the pressure, maybe you shouldn't be a cop. That's what I heard Trump say, and I'll play it again for you so you can hear it too. And for Sharpton to boil it down to, all he said was that she choked. That is a load of bullshit. And not only that, you know what else he said during this video? He says that there's no racism involved because the officer who shot, talking about the Charlotte shooting now, moving to North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. I think it's Charlotte, North Carolina. But Charlotte, there was a shooting today, and there's big protests tonight. I'll get some of that video in a second here. But, you know, then Al Sharpton says that this shooting in North Carolina, in Charlotte, there's no racism involved at all because the officer that shot him is black. This is a load of bullshit, okay? If you think that you're a cop, it doesn't matter what color your skin is, okay? I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me at all. Zero. If you're shooting a black man because you're afraid of black men, that's racist. And I don't give a fuck what color you are. Okay? And it's not so much that cops are afraid of black men, because they appear to shoot more white men than they do black men. So we're clear. Cops are afraid of their own fucking shadow these days. The very first thing a cop is going to say after he shoots his gun is, "I feared for my life." Doesn't matter if it's a 12-year-old playing in the park with a toy, and the cop took 2 seconds from the time he jumped out of the fucking car until he killed that 12-year-old boy. He feared for his life in those 2 seconds. That person shouldn't be a cop. That person should not be a cop. That person shouldn't be allowed to have a gun and walk through our neighborhoods. Okay? That person is a danger to every single person that he comes across, because the second he feels in danger, threatened in any way, he could pull his gun and kill you dead. And it doesn't matter if you're a 12-year-old. That's who these people are. And that person obviously, clearly shouldn't be a cop. And that's what Donald Trump was pointing out. And I think that's an incredibly important conversation to be had. And Al Sharpton boiled it down to, he said, oh, he's just choked. And then this shit about you can't be racist because the cop was black. Lots of black people fear black people. If a white person fears a black person, that's racist. If a black person fears a black person, that can't be racism. If a black person has negative feelings toward black people, that can't be negative. That can't be racism. Al Sharpton is a fucking idiot. Okay, and he needs to go the fuck away. And anybody that supports Al Sharpton or goes to Al Sharpton church or listens to Al Sharpton, tunes in to Al Sharpton, you need to stop. And the only reason I'm posting this is so that you can see and understand, number one, the importance of what Donald Trump said and the importance of that conversation needing to take place. And this bullshit about black people can't be racist against black people. Because that's fucking stupid. And if that's what you believe, you're fucking stupid, Al. So, but I'm just a, white trash white boy. So, I may be stupid and not know, I might not understand. Of course I don't understand black people and how they deal with racism. But if you have negative feelings about black people, that's racism. If you have negative feelings about white people, that's racism. If you have negative feelings about yellow people, that's racism. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. It's you making decisions about human beings because of the color of their skin. That's racism. And it doesn't matter what color you are. Get it through your fucking head. And if white people are trash for being racist, then so is any other colored person trash for being racist. Figure it out. Unless, of course, you just want to break it down into racism. Just break the races apart. Because this is stupid. But I'm getting all convoluted. My name's Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News. Thank you very much for tuning in. Donations have been very slow lately, all summer long. I'm just scratching by. I've been eating hot dogs all week, which is not good. They're tasty, but it's not good. If you'd like to buy me lunch, there's a clickable link in the text body of this video. Right below the video, there's a little box that says show more. And then there's links to my PayPal. There's a link to the Patron page that I put up. And there's also a link to my Bitcoin wallet. So if you'd like to make a donation, there's lots of easy ways. It should only take 2 minutes or less. All right? And it really makes a world of difference for me when you guys take 2 minutes out of your busy life and try to give a little something back to me. It really makes a world of difference to me. So thank you very much, everyone, for your continued support. And stay cool. One of these days, this war is going to end. Till that day.
We will also have a live report on the ground from Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where protests over an officer-involved shooting of a black man who may have been unarmed, that's what his family is claiming, turned violent last night.
I'm asking all of our Charlotte community to stand together to help us, give us the time to get the right information, and then to continue dialogue going forward at how we continue to be a peaceful community.
Police are maintaining that they are in the right, but the public in Charlotte crying out for video evidence that could shed light on the tragic event. And we begin in Charlotte, where today city officials are calling for peace. This after protesters clashed with police overnight as demonstrations over the fatal shooting of 43-year-old Keith Lamont Scott by a police officer turned violent, injuring 16 officers and many protesters. Now, police were searching for a suspect in an investigation yesterday when they came across Scott, who was not the suspect. He was sitting in his car. And here is where the story becomes less clear. Police say that Scott got out of his car with a gun and that he posed a threat to the officers. His family, though, says he was unarmed and that he was holding a book, not a gun. Now, police still maintain that Scott had a firearm that they recovered at the scene. They say a book was not discovered on him. Officials are still investigating dash cam and body cam video, which they say they hope will provide some clarity. Hundreds of protesters and activists in North Carolina believe this is another act of injustice in a years-long string of violence against African Americans by police officers.
We do this press conference in memory of Tamir Rice, Trayvon Martin, as I traveled the streets of Sanford, Florida. We stand here in memory of Michael Brown, shot down 5 times, and one of the bullets went in his eyeball. I attended his funeral as well. We're here for Walter Scott. Family received $5 million a couple of months ago. We're here for Jonathan Farrell. Yes, some of the other unknown individuals that's been shot in Charlotte, Aaron Winchester, yes, sir. Brother Brown and others. The list goes on and on. Brother that was shot at North Lake Mall, yes, sir. I think on Christmas Day or the day before Christmas. All of these shootings across the country. We're sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Now, officials in Charlotte say that the officer who shot Scott is also black and has been placed routinely on administrative leave pending an investigation. They say that's the protocol when something like this happens. This incident coming just days after police shot and killed 40-year-old unarmed black man named Terrence Crutcher in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You can see in video of the incident, Crutcher appears to be walking away from police officers with his hands up just prior to his death. Police say that he was trying to reach into his car as he passed, they believed, for a weapon. He was later found to be unarmed. Protesters in Tulsa continue to voice their outrage today. Donald Trump reacted to the shooting as well on the campaign trail. This shooting by a white female police officer. He reacted in Ohio earlier today. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Well, that was, in my opinion, that was a terrible situation. And we've seen others. We've seen others. And the police are aware of that, too. By the way, the police are troubled by it, too. They look at it. Now, did she get scared? Was she choking? What happened? But maybe people like that, people that choke, people that do that, maybe they can't be doing what they're doing, okay? They can't be doing what they're doing. So we all respect our police greatly. And they will just have to get better and better and better. Thank you.
That was Donald Trump earlier today. Now, we are going to have live reports from the ground on all of this in North Carolina, in Oklahoma, and, of course, political reaction from the campaign trail where Donald Trump was today in Ohio. But first, Reverend Al Sharpton met today with the family of Tulsa shooting victim Terrence Crutcher here in New York.
The burden that they bear is a burden that too many families have had to bear. An unarmed black man that's life is taken. Clearly, this is an outrage. Right. Clearly, it is one of many. But the difference on this one is that this is not going to be easily flipped on the victim. That's right.
And joining us now is Reverend Al Sharpton, president of the National Action Network and host of MSNBC's Sunday morning show, Politics Nation. Reverend, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Let me start by asking you one thing that struck me watching these two scenes unfold over the last 2 days, Oklahoma and North Carolina, the difference in reaction in the community. There's protests taking place in both communities. In Tulsa, the protests seem more peaceful. What we saw overnight in Charlotte, there was a lot more frustration that was spilling over last night. What do you make of the difference in how the communities are reacting?
Well, from our conversations with people on the ground in Charlotte, there has been a litany of cases in Charlotte. This is not the first case. And that I think that this frustration sometimes boils over. There also have been some that have said that the police were heavy-handed. And you've got to remember in Tulsa, they put the tape out. And there is, the police are claiming in Charlotte, they don't even, they're not even confirming they've reviewed all the tapes. I think transparency and coming forward makes a big difference. And I think the tone set here is that we want accountability immediately, all citizens. I also think that what is interesting that is not being emphasized by the media is it's that they want accountability of all law enforcement, because a policeman in Charlotte is black. This is not even race here. So I think the one thing you're seeing is that the protests that are going on around the country, many of which we've been involved in the National Action Network, is not an anti-white or an anti-police, it's anti-accountability, because you see the outrage in Charlotte when clearly it is not a white policeman involved.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I think that's an angle here. A lot of people, when they look at stories like this, in many cases it is a white officer and a black victim, and the narrative that gets presented a lot of times in the media, the conversation usually involves, well, did the white officer have certain maybe embedded assumptions that he was acting on, that she was acting on? But when it's a black officer and a black person is killed, talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think the difference is in many cases we do see evidence of white officers may have embedded prejudgments, which is prejudice. And you'd have to ask in the case in that we're dealing with in Tulsa is what would make her think someone was of danger when clearly from the videotape his hands are up and there's no imminent danger. in the case of where black officers are involved, I helped lead the fight and protest in New York, where 2 black cops were among the 3 that killed Sean Bell. And we had many, many demonstrations and forced a trial there. And 2 of those policemen were black. Because the feeling is that many black officers know that they can get away with doing in the black community to black suspects what they would never do in another community. What you have not seen is a lot of black cops or white cops do this to white suspects. So even though there may not be the same embedded prejudice, there may be an embedded that I can be more reckless here or not as cautious here, because why don't we see this with black cops in other areas where, let me hasten to add, we shouldn't see it in any area. They ought to follow the law, not break the law. The thing that impressed me about the family that have come, the Crutcher family that came to us today in National Action Network, and appeals for justice and appeals to go into court immediately, is that they are a very religious family. Father's a minister and a gospel singer. The son was a student of gospel. His professor's calling all day, standing up for him. And yet the answer is, well, we think there was some drugs in the car. Did the policeman have X-ray vision? Let's say there was drugs in the car. We don't know that to be true. How do you know that when we're looking at the video? You're coming down the road. The only reason he's there is the car stalled and the car broke down. It appears so did the justice system break down, because this man is dead, suspected of what? His car breaking down?
We mentioned, too, that this is the height of the political season. The presidential campaign is playing out right now. There are politics involved to the reactions we're hearing from Donald Trump. We played earlier. Hillary Clinton, I'm sure, will weigh in. I wanted to put 2 sets of numbers up and just ask you about this, though. This is a poll recently from Gallup. They asked the difference between blacks and whites in how they view police. Do you have a great deal or a lot of confidence in the police? And you see whites, 58% say they do. Blacks, the number is half that, 29%. Do you feel that blacks are treated less fairly than whites by police? For whites, 40% say that's the case. That number, I guess, is up a little bit over the last year. For blacks, it's 2/3. It's 67%. When you look at how this unfolds politically, you look at, there's that disparity that you see among whites and blacks. How can you get those numbers even?
The way you get them even is to have justice so that the black numbers come down. We don't want the white numbers to come up. And I think that anyone running for office ought to deal with why are these numbers so different. And that is because the realities are different, which means there is not equal protection under the law. This ought to be a major discussion in the debate on Monday night. If the debate does not deal with the issues of criminal justice reform, police reform, and the type of attorney general the new president will have, then it becomes, in my judgment, a bogus debate, because this is a very, very dominant domestic issue, and a president needs to deal with it. The sitting president has responded with a commission on police with recommendations on police reform, with criminal justice reform and commutations, with attorney generals going in, as they did Ferguson, dealing with the whole city. Well, is that going to continue, Mrs. Clinton? Is that going to continue, Mr. Trump? I think Mrs. Clinton has laid out many programs there. I think Mr. Trump made a comment today and really only said, did the policeman choke? And I guess because he didn't just, in an aggressive way, defend the police, people are acting like that's a major statement. To say somebody choked, she shot somebody who had just been tasered, whose only act was his car broke down. So that's a lot more than choking. It's better than Donald Trump has done in the past, but when you compare to what he's done in the past, better is not a lot. And even a broke clock is right twice a day.
All right, Reverend Al Sharpton, thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it. And we're going to go back now to Charlotte. We're keeping our eyes out on tonight's planned vigil. Tammy Leitner is on the ground now there for us. So, Tammy, obviously, we saw the scene last night. We were just talking about it. What's the expectation now for tonight?
You know, Steve, right now things are calm, but people in the community are asking that the video from the shooting be released. That doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime right now. The police chief is saying it's part of an ongoing investigation. We do know the officer responsible for killing Keith Lamont Scott was not wearing a body camera, but 3 other officers were wearing it. We're told it captured some of the shooting. Now, keep in mind, that shooting is what prompted those protests overnight that turned very violent. 16 officers were injured. 7 were taken to the hospital. 1 had a rock thrown to his face. Motorists were injured when protesters started throwing rocks and bottles on the interstate. A Walmart was looted. A fire was set on the interstate. Things got out of control last night. Right now, they're very calm in the university area of Charlotte. I can tell you, though, Steve, there is a vigil planned for 7 o'clock tonight. Family members have organized it, and they've also asked people in the community to boycott local businesses. So we will be covering this vigil tonight. We'll see how it happens. Everybody is hoping that it stays peaceful.
All right, Tammy Leitner in Charlotte. We will be keeping an eye on that. Thank you for that, Tammy.